Kapoor ji, CEO of Taxo.online, to kindly share with us the features of this very powerful tool, Taxo.online. Over to you, Manoj ji.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Anmol Gupta ji. And you are our moderator of the today's session. Thank you very much. Hello, friends. Taxo, first of all, I am on the behalf of Taxo. We thank you all of you for your participation for the today's special session on how to handle GST litigation. This is our series of monthly webinars, and I'm very happy. More than 1,000 registration we receive for today's program. And today's webinar is a little different from the previous webinars because first time we are conducting this webinar jointly with the Rajasthan Tax Consultant Association, known as the RTCA, GST PAM, GST Practitioner Association of Maharashtra, and FITBAR, Faridabad Income Tax Bar Association. Thank you very much for the representative of these bars. Those are also joining today. Friends, prior to hand over this the session, I just want to brief all of you about the importance of the Taxo in the current scenario. As all of we knows that our biggest pain. What is our biggest pain? Our biggest pain is that nowadays we are receiving a notice on the behalf of the clients, and the number of notices also as per the records in the lakhs. So Taxo is here to give you the big relief and come up with the remedies to address this pain, because Taxo has one of the finest case law library on the GST with high quality case notes and intelligent search options. And already Taxo has the more than 10,000 GST case laws available in the library. And beside this, Taxo also providing approximate more than 100 sample draft replies which related to your practical issues. So this is the one more thing which gives the big relief in your pains. And one beautiful services we are also giving to our subscriber, we giving the replies of the queries. This is the also one thing. And beside this, all notifications, circulars along with the order and guidelines and intelligent crafted notification trees on rates, cess, exemption, and RCM is also available in the Taxo. Updated act, rule, commentary, rate finder, and many more you get at a one place. And these are some beauty of the Taxo. And Taxo also keeps you real-time updated digitally on the all the aspects of the GST by the WhatsApp and the emails. So all the your needs, whatever you required, and be the address by the Taxo pertain to the GST. So if you are not using, so friends, I can say that you are missing a lot, because we already signed the MOU with the RTCA, GST PAM, and the FITBAR. So excellent discount is also available, for which you can contact us. Our team member Srishti, I'm repeating, I'm just telling her number 4x9 693 426. I'm just repeating her number 4x9 693 426. If you need any assistance, you can connect with the Srishti. She also gives you the demo if you required, and also gives you the best price for this beautiful library which we developed to reduce your pain in the current litigation scenario. Now today we are virtually connected with us CA Mahesh Madkolkar ji, President of GST PAM, and he is a seasoned chartered accountant with over 33 years of practice experience, and his area of expertise includes GST audit and SME listing. He is very active in the various forums of the ICI and also at the social platforms. So now I request to CA Mahesh ji to say some words to our subscriber in next 2 minutes. Over to Mahesh sir.
Yes, thank you, Manoj ji. At the outset, let me appreciate my president, Atul Gupta ji, because I was there at that time, regional council member. At present, I am the president of GST Association. We are having more than 3,000 members across Maharashtra, and we are exclusively into GST. All the branches, all the associations are attached, and we are parent body. We are mainly into law and representation, and we are having GSTR. We are having the GST referencer also. Collection of GST 1,75,000 crores or so. Manoj ji has rightly says that litigation is a very important aspect. And I would like to urge that the GST practice is going to have a tremendous momentum. and Taxo, I personally using it, and there are a lot of litigations going to be there. However, with the help of the knowledge updation, with the help of the Taxo and the library which they are having, they are also coming out with the some of the tools. I'm waiting for that, and that tool will be the most guiding factors as far as the confirmation of GST with the GSTN, their number, whether the rating which they were having. So they are talked about, and we are waiting for that also. With the support, with the joining hands together, our members also, we have reached these 3,000 members. All the what you have submitted twice, we had given it to our members. Few of our members I can see there. So with this, thank you very much for giving opportunity to joining hands with the Taxo, and definitely we will go together because ultimately we have to appear before the authorities, and we have to be at unity has to be there, and we have to be at the same page. With this, we are looking for solving of many of the litigations of the queries, and I am aware that you are keep on updating us day in day out with your various services. Thank you very much, and thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you, Maheshji. And now Taxo also honored because today virtually we have the core team of the RTCA with us. Advocate Sri Vinay Kumar Joli ji, President of the RTCA. CA Ratan Goyal ji, General Secretary of the RTCA. And CA Sandeep Agarwal ji is the Treasurer. Taxo welcome all of you and request to Joli sir and Ratan sir to say few words to Taxo subscriber in next 2-3 minutes, sir.
Joli.
थैंक यू मनोज जी। रतन जी आप
अब बोले प्लीज।
बोले बोले सर बोले, एक ही बात है, आप बोले।
अरे thank you so much, sir. Thank you for giving this opportunity to join hands with the Taxo and the other associations of this country. I would like to brief about the role of the Rajasthan Tax Consultant Association in the professional field. Rajasthan Tax Consultant Association is established 1976. It's a 48 years old organization having luminaries on the leading this association, including the NM Raka sir, Patni, Kapoor Chandji Patni sir, and all that. They have given the legacy to this profession. I'm proud to be General Secretary of this association. My President Vinay Kumar Joli ji is there, and the most vibrant, dynamic President C.S. Satish Kumar Gupta ji is also here, who had been the President of this association for last 10 years. Under his leadership, this association not only confined to the state, Rajasthan state only. This has been the association of national level. One occasion is that the Honorable Sitaraman ji, then Finance Minister, now Finance Minister, has called our President, worthy President C.S. Satish Kumar Gupta ji, to give a suggestion for the betterment of the GST. GST had been the, as you know, as Madhukar Sahib has already told, that the GST is always a matter of learning. इसमें हमेशा कहीं न कहीं कुछ न कुछ नया सीखने को मिलता है. हर बार कोई न कोई नया नोटिफिकेशन, जितने रूल्स नहीं है उससे ज्यादा हमारे को नोटिफिकेशन सर्कुलर्स आ चुके हैं. तो हमारे जो प्रेसिडेंट रहे सतीश कुमार गुप्ता जी, उनको निर्मला सीतारमन जी ने बुलाया सजेशन देने के लिए. Minded, this was the only association in the country who have been called for a suggestion, to give suggestion on the GST. Apart from this, then State Finance Minister Anurag Thakur ji has called to Satish Gupta ji, then President of this association, to give suggestion on the current scenario. That was the time of Corona, and the industry was facing very badly for the liquidity and all that. Liquidity crunch was there, no sales, no purchase, because industries was not open up. So हमारे जो वर्दी प्रेसिडेंट है सतीश कुमार गुप्ता जी, उन्होंने सजेशन दिया कि लिक्विडिटी बिजनेस को नहीं होना चाहिए at that time, and you might be witnessing the ELSS scheme announced by all the bankers, 20% additional funding was the result of the suggestion given by our worthy president that this kind of association we have. And I'm proud to be a general secretary. This is our continuous endeavor to update our members on the various issues. This conference, this webinar is also a step further into the education of our members. I'm happy to be a member of this Taxo team, और जो आज हमारी जो वेबिनार आयोजित की गई उसका मैं एक पार्ट हूँ. And I welcome Honorable Dr. Atul Kumar Gupta ji, who had been the president of this Legacy Institute, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. Again, I also welcome CA Advocate Upendra Gupta ji, who had been the Chief Commissioner of CGST. Most welcome, sir. We are happy to join this, and we will learn a lot because this is the time for litigation. GST has been 7 years past, and now the procedural part has been completed. Litigations will start, and we will learn how to win in a litigation by Atul Gupta ji and Commissioner, Chief Commissioner CGST, Upendra Gupta ji. Thank you so much for being for giving this opportunity to RTCA. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ratan sir. And now, friends, we will not take too much of time. And now over to Anmol ji to take today's session forward. Please, Anmol ji.
Thank you, Manoj ji. Now, friends, coming back to the today's panel discussion, we have with us CA Upendra Gupta ji, who is a 1990 batch IRS and recently retired as Chief Commissioner of CGST Panchkula Zone. Upendra sir holds multiple professional qualifications, being a chartered accountant, cost accountant, and company secretary, and a law graduate. During his tenure of 33 years working in indirect taxes, sir has led introduction of GST in the country in July 17, and for his efforts, he has been honored with Prime Minister's Award for Excellence in Public Administration and Presidential Award of Appreciation Certificate for Distinguished Record of Service. Then, friends, we have with us as our mentor, as our guide, as our leader, C. Atul Gupta ji, who is the past president of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India and is currently serving as a board member of International Federation of Accountants. Atul sir is a renowned name in the field of indirect taxation and has delivered more than 1800 lectures, including training to GST officials, and has authored many publications on indirect taxation. With his commitment to thorough research, diligent advocacy, and strategic thinking in the face of complex indirect tax challenges, he has been successful in various tax litigation matters up to tribunal level. Atul sir is a senior partner of Messrs. Appra & Associates Chartered Accountants and heading the indirect tax division of the firm. I'm sure, friends, under the guidance, under the able of our esteemed panelists, we'll be getting many important things to understand in the field of GST litigation today. Let's start. Meanwhile, friends, we'll be taking some questions that we have received in advance first. But meanwhile, please enter your queries in the chat box. I'll be taking up in the second part of this session. So, Atul sir, my first question goes to you. Sir, like already we have seen the Section 73 notices of 17, 18, 18, 19 and 1920, and there are Section 74 notices that have already started to come up. So, sir, and there is also news that the Honorable President of GST Appellate Tribunal has been appointed, and it is going to be functional in next few months, I would say. So, sir, since you have a vast experience of regularly appearing before the service tax appellate tribunals and various authorities, according to you, sir, in your experience, what preparation should a professional or a litigant should do in order to be ready with the GST appellate tribunal once it comes up and pursue their case before the appellate tribunal? Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Anmol. And I believe it's a very pertinent question. And before answering that question, I acknowledge the presence of CA Upendra Gupta ji, CA Satish Gupta ji, and Mahesh ji, and other colleagues. CA Satish Gupta ji, I worked with Satish Gupta ji as a council member for 3 years, and I admire the contribution which he always gives to the profession, as well as to Mahesh ji as a regional council member. Friends, the question which is being raised by Anmol is that since the tribunals are going to establish in a few months or maybe a month or so, what kind of a preparations we should have to file the appeal, or how to draft a good appeal, so that there will be a good case to contest by all of us. Now, my dear friend, the answer is very elaborate. I have a lot of things I can explain, but I will try to summarize in the next 5-7 minutes only, that how to prepare a good appeal as far as the tribunal is concerned. Number one, that my dear friend, whenever you have a order in original with you, you should have a thorough study of the order in original or the order in appeal, as the case may be. So normally it will be the order in appeal in the GST regime, because all the orders are passed by the joint commissioner or the additional commissioner, and then they are going to appeal, and finally will reach to the second appellate authority, that is the GSAT, that is the GST appellate tribunal. Now, my dear friend, when we are talking about the appellate tribunal, when you have the order in appeal as well as the order in original in your hand, against which you are looking to file an appeal, it's very important that we read the complete order in original and order in appeal thoroughly, and carve out all the points which are relevant for you. For example, there may be a show cause notice which was originally issued, and that may have the 20 such allegations for whom you have replied for. Now, there may be a situation that when you file the order, when you file the reply to the show cause notice, you may have not emphasized on a particular one or the other points. There may be a chance that you have not covered all the 20 allegations as well. Now it is a time that you have to very importantly cover all the allegations. You have to submit the response to all the allegations which are there in the show cause notice, as well as the other aspects are there. Now, my dear friends, say for example, there are the 20 allegations are there in the show cause notice. You are making the reply of the same. At times, you will find that there are the certain allegations which are not correct, or there is a ambiguity in the allegations as well. I will take you to the two examples that normally it is called a technical defect as well, that they try to classify your activity in the two different categories with using the word or. So meaning thereby, for example, you are dealing in the shoes, and they are saying that your activity may fall under this chapter or under this particular chapter. Meaning thereby, there is a lack of clarity even when they drafted the show cause notice or passing the order. Then in that case, there are the judgments like of a Shubham Electricals in the service tax regime, even affirmed by the Delhi High Court, that these kind of show cause notice are bad in eye of the law. Meaning thereby that you have to harp on this particular aspect, that this show cause notice itself is a bad in eye of the law or is a void ab initio. So whenever there is a kind of a confusion or the ambiguities are there in the show cause notice, you should highlight that same when you are drafting the appeal as a first point. The another point which may be a case that the orders, either the order in original or the order in appeal, will travel beyond the show cause notice. That's something you have to highlight as well. For example, I witnessed a particular case when the demand was there under the manpower supply services, and when the argued by a learned chartered accountant or the advocate, as the case may be, later on the order in original or the order in appeal which came, they said that, okay, yes, on basis of the argument submitted, the actual category of the this supply should be under the cleaning services. Now, my dear friend, this is a classical example of the order traveled beyond the show cause notice, that the demand was there in the manpower supply, but the order in original came with the cleaning services. Likewise, there may be a situation when the demand was there only for a one particular period, but the order came for the subsequent period as well. The demand was there for a lesser amount, but the order in original came with a higher amount. So all these points are there when you can classify the same, all these points into the show cause order in original traveled beyond the show cause notice. So these are the few fundamental aspects you have to take care while you are making the reply. Now, another point is that in case in the order in original or in the show cause notice, the department has invoked section 74, meaning thereby the department has alleged that there is a fraud, collusion, misstatement, or suppression of fact. In that case, my dear friend, it is very, very important that when you draft the appeal, the first point of appeal should be that why this section 74 should not be invoked. So the first para itself, the first line of your appeal should be after the statement of fact. So what you have to do,
that when you are filing the appeal, you have to prepare a statement of facts and then you have to prepare the ground of appeal. Now, after giving the brief of the statement of facts, when you are starting the ground of appeal, you should give the first capital A, that the section 74 is not invocable in this particular case. Why so? You should explain. Now, what is the meaning thereby? That you are saying that there is no charge, the fraud cannot be proved, or there is no suppression. Now, it is not, it is advisable to all of us that each case will have a different situation when you will be pleading before the honorable authorities that why this section 74 should not be invoked. So it's not a copy paste that, okay, you will say that, okay, Anmol, please give me a draft of the same and then I will do the needful. No, because in your case, that facts may be different. In my case, the facts may be different. For example, there is a fraud, there is an allegation of a suppression that I have not filed my return. And the another case, there may be a allegation of the fraud that, okay, you have not taken the registration. Now, these are the two different scenarios. If you will say that, no, the fraud is not there, the suppression is not there in a general sense, in that case, you will not get the relief. You have to substantiate that, okay, why you have not filed the return or why you have not taken the registration at all. So whether in case you have filed your income tax return, there is a 26 AS available, you have given your return to your registrar of companies as well, meaning thereby that everything was there in the public domain. Now there are the plethora of judgment which says that if you are making a show cause notice invoking the section 74 based on the 26 AS or the income tax return or the ROC return, and that is the bad in eye of the law. There was no evidence that there was a suppression when in the public domain, the balance sheets or the accounts were available. So my dear friend, it's very important that when you are drafting the appeal, you have to give a capital A that why this section 74 is not invocable. After that, my dear friend, the capital B, that you have to say without prejudice to above, meaning thereby that if the department is not, that honorable bench is not agreeable to your first plea that the section 74 is not invocable, then you have to go with that without prejudice to above. Now the assessee wish to submit on the merit as under. And in that case, now you have to reply all the allegations related to the merit one by one. And it's very important that when you are making the reply, you have to substantiate as well, like the law of evidence, that unless and until you will not give the evidence or you will not substantiate your point of view, the logic of your submissions, you will not be able to succeed. So it's very important that when you are making a reply of a particular allegation, you have to substantiate that why this particular judgment or a notification or a circular, you are saying that this activity is not taxable. So you have to substantiate by virtue of any notification, circular, order, or the judgment. That is called the jurisprudence. So you have to give a jurisprudence that why the case should be decided in your favor. And it's very important that the relevant para, relevant page, relevant the extract of that notification, circular, or the judgment should be reproduced in your reply. So it should not be a case that, okay, you are giving a, say for example, there is a judgment of 60 pages. You are giving a citation of the judgment and saying that, okay, the honorable authority will find out that, okay, which para is relevant. No, you have to reproduce that relevant para into your appeal, whether it is a notification, circular, judgment, or anything else is there, so that the authorities, the honorable authorities, will be able to catch up that, okay, what is exactly you want to say. Then, my dear friend, after giving all the points on the merit in a very, very layman language, in a very sequential way, then you have to give the further points, like, for example, why the penalty should not be imposed. So there should be a compulsory insertion in your appeal that why the penalty should not be there. And finally, my dear friend, it's also important that in case you feel that, okay, if ultimately the case will be decided against you, you should get a cum duty benefit. So without prejudice to above, you also should include a para, the capital D after the capital C for penalty, the capital D for the this particular aspect, that why the benefit of the cum duty should be made available to the SSC in case all the other earlier pleas are getting rejected by the honorable authorities. So my dear friend, this is the way that you have to draft. It's very important that as one of my friend mentioned on the one occasion, that if you have the 10 hours to prepare an appeal, at least the 3 hours or 4 hours should be devoted on reading the order in original, show cause notice, and the other document. Then you have to devote the 3 hours only on the research, As Manoj bhai mentioned that there are the plethora of the judgments available, notification circulars are available on the various e-libraries which are available, that you have to develop, okay, how I am going to draft. So what are the judgments, important judgments which are in favor of yours? The circular, the notification on basis of which you will draft your appeal. And then the last 3 hours should be there on the drafting line. So it should be, a time should be divided in such a way that you are 7 hours already devoted on the drafting, the before drafting, and then only you are giving a 30% time to your for the drafting. So that should be the way that you have to draft, so that when you are appearing before the honorable authorities at the tribunal level, there should be a systematic approach. And last but not the least, just to share with you that today, even if you are going to the honorable high court or even to the tribunal, it's very important that you are preparing a good synopsis. My dear friends, so it's very important that even the tribunals these days are looking for a synopsis or the compilation, the final compilation from the AR as well as from the DR, meaning thereby the authorized representative as well as from the departmental representative. And you have to prepare, for example, you are appearing before the divisional bench. So you have to prepare the 4 set of the your synopsis, 2 for the bench, 1 for the DR and 1 for yourself. And then you have to plead the case based on that synopsis vis-a-vis the appeal filed with the authorities. So my dear friend, these were the few tips which Anmol asked me to share with you. In case you have anything else on this particular aspect, you please write down your queries on your chat box and I will try to answer to the best of my capabilities. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think you have beautifully summed up the entire query that we were having, that how one should prepare himself or herself regarding the GST appellate tribunal that is going to come up. Sir, quickly, I just want that in your experience, do you feel anything can be added to these मतलब कुछ और चीज ऐसी हैं जो टैक्स पेयर तैयारी अपनी कर सकता है बिफोर GST appellate tribunal comes into function?
थैंक यू अनमोल। अतुल भाई ने वैसे सारा कुछ कवर कर लिया है, लेकिन 2-3 बातें आई लाइक टू टेल। फर्स्ट, while drafting the appeal, we should see that whether the show notice or the order in appeal or the order in original, as the case may be, has been issued or passed by the proper officer having the jurisdiction. Sometimes it happens that a different officer other than the jurisdictional officer issues the show notice or pass, then that aspect we can question while submitting the appeal. Limitation period is another issue, that whether the show notice or even the order in original was issued in time, because nowadays the time limit for passing the order in original is also there. Then we should also comply with the requirement of pre-deposit and filing the appeal within the limit, within the time period as laid down in the law. The last is that, although it is covered by Atul Bhai, but each and every finding of the order should be countered while submitting the reply, so that the reply is comprehensive, and request for personal hearing should also be made while drafting the reply. Thank you.
Just
Thank you,
to
sir.
add, Anmol, one point which I missed, that as the circular has been issued by the department recently, my dear friends, in case you are looking to file appeal before the tribunal and the order was against you, you have to make a pre-deposit so that the intentions of filing of appeal is very clear to the department. So I request all of you to please take care of that circular. Maybe after 30th of September, your hectic schedule is there. But please ensure that all of us are filing the requisite amount of taking the stay
Pre-deposit.
as a pre-deposit, so that the intentions are very much clear. Even I will say that now the amount has been reduced as well by the recent amendments in the after the 53rd GST Council meeting and the Finance Act 2024. So it's very important for all of us to take note of all those amendments as well and see that we are on the right side of the law.
Thank you, sir. Upendra sir, coming to you, another very, very important or very pertinent topic these days is regarding the amnesty scheme that has been given in the Finance Act 2024, pursuant to the recommendation made by the Council in 53rd Council meeting. Regarding, sir, this question is regarding Section 128A. There is a query that we receive a lot, that what will happen in those cases, because Section 128A, it simply says that if there is a demand notice, you pay the demand and you get the waiver of interest and penalty. In principally, it says like that, sir. Sir, what will happen in those cases wherein the notice is itself regarding only interest and penalty? So whether the assessees will get waiver of that or not? I'll take example, sir. For example, a person was liable to pay taxes in the month of March and he paid in September. So the taxes have been paid, but only the interest was not paid, and for that interest and penalty notice he has received. Or take a scenario of the compliance of 180 days. He has made the payment to vendor after 180 days, so he is liable to pay only the interest. So in those cases, sir, what do you feel that whether those cases will be covered under 128A? Along with that, मैं एक छोटा सा क्वेश्चन और सम अप इसमें ऐड करूंगा सर, कि आपके हिसाब से 128A के लिए कोई प्रिपरेशन, जैसे सर हमने ट्राइब्यूनल की प्रिपरेशन समझी, ऐसे ही 128A के लिए कोई टैक्स पेयर को, क्योंकि अभी नोटिफाई हो गया 54th काउंसिल मीटिंग में दैट इट इज गोइंग टू कम अप फ्रॉम 1st of November. So do you feel that any preparation needs to be done by the taxpayer or the professional? Over to you, sir.
128 is the amnesty scheme for 3 years, 17, 18, 18, 19, 19, 20. उसमें जो भी डिमांड है उसका इंटरेस्ट या पेनल्टी और 73 सेक्शन में हुआ है, then only it would be available. 54th काउंसिल की मीटिंग में ये तो डिसाइड हुआ कि 1 नवंबर से इम्प्लीमेंट होगा, लेकिन अभी जो फाइनेंस एक्ट 2024 फाइनेंस नंबर 2 एक्ट 2024 में सेक्शन 146 है इसका, जो कि 128A को इंट्रोड्यूस करेगा इन द CGST एक्ट, इज येट टू बी नोटिफाइड. So to my mind, the relevant rules as well as a detailed circular will be issued by the government on the recommendation of the council before the effective date. सारी चीजें उससे क्लियर होंगी कि कौन कौन सी चीजें कवर्ड है, कौन सी नहीं है कवर्ड, और वो कैसे, क्या चीज को करना पड़ेगा, कौन सा फॉर्म भरना पड़ेगा, ऑफिसर्स को क्या वेरीफाई करना है, नहीं करना है. All that will be detailed circular like in any amnesty scheme. For example, last amnesty scheme on the indirect tax side was in the service tax. So VCES, Sabka Vishwas was the last scheme, and then we had a detailed procedure as to how it will be done and what kind of certification would be done by the department or will be required by the department. So coming to the question, the spirit of the section is that the government wants that because of the initial teething problems in such a reform for the first 3 years, government is looking forward to only the receipt of the tax which was payable and not paid, and the consequent interest and penalty would be waived. So if that spirit is taken into account, then probably the question is that whether the show-cause notice issued only for interest and penalty, where the tax has already been paid, will be waived. Reasonable expectation should be that it should be waived. But the problem is like in 180 days. Now there was no, was there any tax which was payable or which was paid? In this case, only by paying the 20 days interest, the ITC is not to be reversed. So can one say that the tax was paid? The answer to my mind will be difficult to say that the tax was due, there was a demand and it was paid, and therefore only interest is remaining. So will there be a different treatment for such a situation? The another example which Anmol mentioned was that the tax was to be paid in July, but it has to be paid in September. So effectively, it appears that this tax is for delayed filing of return. So there also the question is that whether the delayed filing of return and consequent late payment of tax will be covered, because it is a self-assessed tax and it was to be paid by a fixed date, or whether this scheme would be applicable only when there was a short levy detected during audit, or finalization of provisional assessment or best judgment assessment and things like that, and there the demand was there which has been paid, and now only the interest and penalty is remaining. So when we take the spirit with which this scheme has been brought out, and as was brought out in the press release issued after the 53rd meeting, then most of the cases where even the tax has been paid and only the shocker notice is pending for interest and penalty, to my mind, waiver would be given. But I would say with that a caution should be exercised that we have to wait for the relevant circular or the notification or any rule which will be notified to come into public domain, and then we should take a call. Now, as far as preparation for this is concerned, the preparation is that even if the order has been issued and now the time limit is for filing appeal is approaching, 3 months time is close by or is going to expire, then one should file appeal to keep the case live, because tomorrow it may happen that the time period for filing appeal is expired, and then one can argue that you have not filed the appeal, that means you are not interested in challenging the order in original. So therefore, to my mind, in all such cases, the appeal should be filed within the time period laid down in section 107 to keep the case alive, and it will also reflect the intention to claim the benefit of section 128A.
Thank you so much, sir. I believe many of us, our doubts are cleared. Atul sir, quickly, another very important area of litigation that we see from the last many times since the litigation has started is 2A versus 3B. So we get this question in almost every discussion that we have, that how to deal with GSTR 2A versus 3B mismatch notices for the prior periods.
Thank you, Anmol. Though there is no clear directions as such as far as the 2A versus 3B is there, because of the different pronouncements which are coming from the Honorable High Courts as well. That ultimately, if I refer the judgment of a Suncraft, then the Hina Medicas, E-Com Gill. So if I summarize all these judgments, including by the Honorable Supreme Court and the High Court, there may be a classification of this entire issue into the two parts. One is when there is a mismatch of a 2A versus 3B because the vendor non-compliance. Now the vendor, if in case, or say for example, the registration of the vendor got cancelled. Now, say for example, my purchase is over 2020, but the vendor registration got cancelled by the department, or the vendor surrender the registration, is a post facto, meaning thereby after the invoice date. So my invoice date is 2020, but his registration got cancelled with effect from 2021. In that case, there is a clear-cut circular available that there is no requirement of the reversal of the credit per se. Now coming to the second scenario, when the registration of the vendor got cancelled from a date which is prior to my purchase date. So if I purchased in 2020 and these registration got cancelled from 1st of July 2017 with a retrospective date or 2018, in that case, as the Honorable High Courts and the Honorable Supreme Court guided all of us, that we have to see the each and every case as a individual case. Now, there may be a situation that the registration of the supplier got cancelled in 2022, though maybe with effect from 1st of July 2017 because of the non-filing of few returns. Now, there is no charge of the fraud as such on the vendor, on the SSC. But his registration got cancelled only because of this reason, that he has not filed the certain returns. In that case, there is no reversal required. There may be a situation that the registration of the supplier got cancelled. Say total liability was 1 crore, but he could not pay 20 lakhs rupees, 80 lakhs he paid, but still his registration got cancelled with a retrospective date. In that case also, one has to see that, okay, whether the relevant purchase made by the SSC for whom the show cause notice has been issued, whether the tax was paid or not.
The rest of the cases will be classified under that particular category, that one has to prove that the purchase was legitimate. Now, how you will be able to prove that the purchase was legitimate? You can develop a kind of a checklist. For example, you should have an e-way bill available with you, or maybe the toll plaza slips are there with you. There is a entry in the stock register, that is something there. Then you have made the payment to the supplier through the banking channels. In that case, now the supplier is existent. Say for example, the department is visiting to the supplier. The supplier is existent. So all these points are there, which has to be seen on a case-to-case basis, and then based on that, one has to draft a suitable reply that why this 2A 3B. There is a no case of a 16.2C rather than it's a 16.2B case. So it's very, very important for all of us that we have to differentiate between these two sections, subsections, in such a way that you will be able to take a benefit of a bona fide mistake by the supplier rather than hand in gloves with the buyer and supplier, something like that is there. So it's very important that we have to evaluate for each of the vendor, each of the allegation separately, and then we have to prepare a good reply rather than, again, I will say that don't go with a draft replies or the ready-made replies which are available, and then you will say that, okay, let us move ahead with this kind of a reply, and the rest of the cases will be handled by the. So you have to prove, you have to prepare a case for you, then only you will be able to succeed. There are the many judgments which are in your favor, though I will not say the 100%, but the honorable courts are saying that the department, the respondent all those cases, meaning thereby the department has to do a lot of due diligence before simply adding back or guiding the directing the assessee to reverse the ITC along with the interest and penalties. So the honorable high courts are saying that you have to check with the supplier, you have to see all the compliances, whether the payment has been made through the banking channels or not, whether it's a post facto cancellation or is a pre facto retrospective cancellation. All these points one has to see, and then only we have to argue our cases.
Thank you, sir, for quickly summing up all the aspects of 2A versus 3B litigation. I don't think anyone could sum up so beautifully. Upendra sir, last question before we take up the live Q&A. Very quickly, sir, there are recent judgments that we see wherein the issue is that whether the unsigned SCN or the orders are valid or not in the eyes of law. So, sir, what are your views in cases of those notices or the orders which are uploaded on the GST portal but which are unsigned? Because we see in many of the cases they are unsigned. So, do you feel that, do you think that those are valid notices or orders, or they are liable to be set aside?
Unsigned order or unsigned show cause notice, to my mind, are no order or no show cause. They are void ab initio, because it has to be signed. It cannot be treated as mistake apparent on record, which can be cured. So it is a defect which is uncurable, and the honorable court would definitely set aside such orders or such order signed but show cause notice was not signed. Even that order, because it's based on a defective show cause notice, to my mind, will be set aside. Recently, there was a judgment of Andhra Pradesh High Court in the case of Sri Rama Energy Solution, wherein this kind of decision was given that the unsigned order is not a valid order, and it was set aside.
Thank you, sir. Now, friends, coming to the live Q&A, I'll request you, जिन्होंने डाल दिया है, I'm going to take up. जिन्होंने नहीं डाला है, please enter your queries in the live Q&A chat box, and we'll take up the queries with the esteemed panel. Atul sir, since you discussed in very detail regarding the section 74 and how you should prepare the extended, the ground of extended period, there's a query by Mr. Naman Dokania. He says department raised demand in section 74 during audit process for difference in 3B versus 1. So it is a matter of the difference that is being shown in the returns itself. So he's asking whether it is.
So Naman, I will say it's a good case for you to argue, because not only that you have a good case, that you have already reflected the difference in the GSTR 1 versus 3B. So everything was there available with the government only, with the authorities only, that there is a difference. So there is no case of a suppression at all. Number two, that there are the various judgments available, and as even given by the Honorable High Court of Punjab and Haryana, that if there is no material change in the language or the provisions of the GST vis-a-vis service tax regime, then the judgments which were there in the service tax regime will be equally applicable for the GST. Why I'm saying so? Because there may be the hundreds of judgments are there when they are saying that when everything is available on record, the assessee filed the GST returns like a service tax returns and disclose everything on record on apparently on the face of the return, then there is no case of a fraud or the suppression. Now coming to the second point, when there is an audit conducted by the department and during the audit, if there is any lapse which were noticed by the department, in that case also, there are the judgments available that during the audit, you cannot impose the section 74, you cannot invoke the section 74 and charge the fraud or the other kind of allegations which are responsible for the invocation of section 74. So my dear friend, there are the two cases. Number one, that you have given everything on record in the return itself. Number two, in the audit, when the audit is being conducted by the department, there cannot be an invocation of section 74. Both the judgments will favor you to contest your case.
Thank you, sir. Upendra sir, since we discussed about section 128A and its applicability, there is a question from Mr. Vinod Sharma ji. In case where order has been issued under section 73 for the financial year 1920, Mr. Vinod ji, I feel that first of all, आपने जो order का date लिखा है, it's 1st September 2024. For 1920, the last date to pass the orders was 31st of August. So सबसे पहली बात तो सर आपका order ही time barred है. You can take this ground कि order ही after the time limit pass हुआ है. But let's sir 31st August के हिसाब से मान के चलते हैं that there is an order that has been issued under section 73 for the financial year 1920 where tax has been demanded along with interest and penalty and the due date is 30th September. What should be the strategy to take benefit of 128A amnesty scheme which is yet to be notified? Should we deposit through DRC3 and intimate the same to the department with a request letter for availing 128A? Or should we wait for the notification that once it should get notified then only we should pay, or we should pay in advance?
To my mind, because one should wait first for the appeal period. Now, in this case, the 31st August is the date of the order. Then the filing of appeal probably will be up to 30th November. 3 months time. 3 months time is given for filing the appeal. So, in the meanwhile, in all likelihood, the scheme would be notified. Then that call can be taken. But suppose the scheme doesn't get notified till the date of the filing appeal is getting over, then in that case 15% pre-deposit should be made, or the applicable amount of pre-deposit should be made, so that the case is live, and once the scheme is notified, then only the remaining amount is should be deposited. Because if the benefit of the scheme is available, then the interest waiver, which is the liability, running liability, due on account of non-deposit of the determined tax, is going to be waived under section 128A. To my mind, we should wait till the scheme is notified or till the appeal period is there.
Thank you, sir. Atul sir, there is a question by Mr. Jaideep Udar. This particular thing we have already discussed in our previous panels, that in cases of revenue neutrality, whether the demand can be raised if there is only a procedural lapse, like we see in many e-waybill cases.
So I will say, as far as the revenue neutrality is there, so revenue neutrality be there in the many occasions. Number one, which I would like to deal is the reverse charge mechanism. So, for example, you have to pay the tax for the GTA services or advocate services, and you are eligible to claim the credit later on. Now you will say that since there is a revenue neutrality, so what is the loss to the exchequer? So say for example, the advocate invoice is there for 5 lakhs rupees. You have to pay 90,000 rupees as a GST, and 90,000 rupees, the 100% of that you can claim as a credit. Now you will say there is a revenue neutrality. So why I will pay 90,000 first as under the reverse charge mechanism, and then in any case I am eligible to claim the credit. So there is no need to pay. The answer is no. So if I will go like this, then the entire mechanism of the ITC, the input tax credit, the value added tax. So GST is a value added tax, meaning thereby on every step you have to pay the tax and then claim the credit. So if it is a case, then everybody will say that why I will pay the tax on the purchase, because ultimately I will be getting a set of. So my submission to you, dear, that the revenue neutrality is a good concept only to contest when there is a allegation of a fraud, misstatement, or a suppression. That there are the many judgments which are there, including the British Airways, including the Continental Airways, and many other cases are there, when the Honorable Tribunal decided that in case of a reverse charge mechanism, the charges of a fraud or the suppression cannot be there. So in case there is a point that you are facing with, that the department has invoked section 74 while the revenue neutrality you wish to I will say that contest for. In that case, you can contest the invocation of section 74 vis-a-vis the revenue neutrality situation.
Thank you, sir. Sir, adding to this, there was one more part of this query which I was mentioning, that what will happen in those cases where the revenue neutral is because of the procedural lapses. For example, I'll take an example, sir. I was as per the law, मेरे को जो GSTR 3B के 4A कॉलम में ITC लेना था और उसमें import में दिखाना था, मैंने import में ना दिखा के all other में दिखा दिया और वो ITC ले लिया. So we are facing these kind of.
So that is only a procedural lapse. That's not a revenue neutrality situation. I believe that you have wrongly classifying the same as a revenue neutrality situation. I will say it's a procedural lapse, and there are the many judgments which says that based on the procedural lapse, substantial benefit cannot be denied. So you have to classify your case into that category, and then you have to approach to the higher authorities, the tribunal, or as the case may be, that it was only a procedural lapse. And you can witness that even this 128A is primarily for what? Is primarily for that procedural lapses only which the assessee is committed. Because wherever there is a charges of fraud, then the 128A is not available. The 128A is available when there is a procedural lapse. So the government intention is clear, since that this is a new law. Even the honorable courts are saying, since it is a new law, the procedural lapse are bound to be there. And then there will be a lenient view every time when we will be able to prove that there was no intention, it was only a bona fide mistake.
Thank you, sir.
पॉइंट आपकी परमिशन से ऐड करना चाहूंगा. इसके ऊपर एक सर्कुलर भी अभी आया है कि अगर जीटीए पे जैसे बोला कि पिछले सालों में आपको कुछ आरसीएम में देना था एंड यू हैव नॉट पेड द टैक्स, तो नाउ इफ यू पे देन द अथॉरिटीज वर टेकिंग ए व्यू कि ये उस साल का है तो यू विल नॉट गेट द आईटीसी इन द करंट ईयर. तो ये सर्कुलर हैज बीन इशूड कि जिस साल में आप आरसीएम का पे करेंगे, जो टाइम लिमिट 16/4 की अप टू 30 नवंबर, वो उसी साल की एप्लीकेबल होगी. और लेकिन आपको क्योंकि इनवाइस उस साल में इशू करनी थी जिस साल में ड्यू था, देयर में बी ए लायबिलिटी टू पे इंटरेस्ट, बट यू विल गेट द आईटीसी. सो वन कैन टेक द बेनिफिट ऑफ द टैक्स अमाउंट by paying the tax in the current year and take the credit.
Sir, just to add, and to handle that interest portion, because you have to pay the interest in that case, they have proposed the amendment in the section 13 versus the section 31 as well, that when in case of a reverse charge mechanism, when you have to generate a self invoice. So when you have to generate the self invoice, that will also be clarified very soon by the authorities. So I believe that even I'm going with the Upender sir view that the government is always very proactively trying to resolve the issues. So I believe that will also be taken care, that even the interest liability will not be there, maybe in the times to come.
Thank you, sir. Upender sir, there is a question by Mr. Anup Modi, that what is the impact of extension of timelines against section 168A? So like there is a recent judgment of Guwahati High Court that that notification has been set aside first.
Guwahati High Court, 168A force majeure clause, because of the pandemic, various dates have been extended by way of multiple notification, last being the 56 notification number 56, I think, of 2023, which has been struck down by Guwahati High Court. But the catch in that decision is to my mind. I have cursorily gone through that because the decision has come yesterday only, the detailed one, that the notification has been quashed solely on the ground that it is issued without recommendation of the council. Not that the notification, the date cannot be extended or the notification is in violation of 168A. So rest all the notifications have been issued with the recommendation of the councils, and at many places at various high courts they are stay have been given, particularly on 56 of 23. So the time limits have been extended uh, by way of these notifications, and the shoka notices and the orders have been passed within those time limit, the extended time. 56 of 23 has been quashed solely on the ground of the non-recommended being issued without the recommendation of the council.
Thank you, sir. Atul sir, since you mentioned in a very detail that how one should file the appeal, how it should go before the tribunal. So Mr. Divang said, is it advisable to file statement of facts and grounds of appeal while filing appeal, like in income tax, and later prepare paper book or submissions? What should be the right approach?
I believe that if you ask me personally, I will say that we have to prepare at one go. If I will say that, okay, today I will file a basic appeal form, tomorrow I will file the grounds, then the next time I will file the paper book, and finally when I will appear, I will prepare the synopsis. So practically what is going to happen, that the time, you will not have the time on the various occasions. Every time you have to read the entire case. And even when the tribunal will be hearing, the bench will be hearing your case, you will be saying that, okay, please refer my set A, set B, set C, and set D. And then you will be moving from one page to another page, and it will be very difficult. I appeared many times in the tribunal, and I witnessed that in those kind of a scenarios, the tribunals itself got annoyed that, okay, which set I have to refer when you are moving from one set to another set. Number one. Number two, that when you have read the entire case and you have prepared a basic ground of appeal, then it is very important that you can prepare the paper book as well. So postponing the submission of the paper book, again, not only like it will be a more time consuming. Again, you have to read the entire case, and then it will be annoying at times to the bench as well. So my submission, even to my team and even to you as well, Mr. Seth, that we should complete the things in one go. We should prepare a statement of facts, ground of appeal, paper book, everything. Only the synopsis should be developed later on when the hearing will come. Why I'm saying so? Because say, for example, you filed the appeal in 2024, your case is getting listed in 2026. Then in these last 2 years, there will be many judgments which will get pronounced, which are similar to your case. In that scenario, when you are preparing the synopsis, you will be able to refer those judgments as well, which are pronounced after your submissions of the paper book. So that will create a lot of difference. But I don't agree with this kind of a approach that you should divide your submissions in many times or many occasions.
Thank you, sir. Sir, continuing the question that I asked earlier, because there is a question by Mr. Jay Oja, which continued the question. We discussed कि अगर कोई order आ गया है, so whether we should wait for section 128A to be notified or we should pay the taxes. So in continuation, like you mentioned, that we should wait for the scheme to be notified first and then only we should pay the taxes. Meanwhile, we can file the appeal if the scheme is not notified till the 90 days is over. So, sir, Mr. Jay Oja in this case asked that if we do not pay the taxes within 30 days, can the department have the power to freeze my bank account, despite of the fact that I have 3 months time to file the appeal? I believe, sir, there is a judgment already on this aspect, and there is a circular also which says that you should not, only in exceptional circumstances you should do these recovery mechanisms.
Because there is a automatic state in the time period of the filing appeal is there. So therefore, the department cannot start recovery proceeding because, freezing the bank account amounts to the recovering the amount within the appeal period. that recovery proceedings, to my mind, can be started only after the appeal period is over and you have not filed the appeal.
Thank you, sir. Sir, there is a question that it is relating to drafting of pleadings. How to draft pleading by new person who has not an experience like a panel, and any books or material to refer for drafting.
So dear, as I explained you everything, एक कहावत होती है करत करत अभ्यास के, तो मेरे लिए एप्लीकेबल है, आपके लिए नहीं एप्लीकेबल है, क्योंकि मैं जड़मती हूँ। तो करत करत अभ्यास के जड़मती हो सुजान, तो जितना प्रैक्टिस करेंगे, जितना लिखेंगे, जितना आप बार बार प्रैक्टिस करेंगे, आप ऑटोमेटिकली एक्सपर्ट होते जाएंगे. यू आर दी एक्सपर्ट ऑलरेडी इन दी लैंग्वेज, so you have a good communication skill, command over the subject as well as on the language. So I believe it is only a hesitation you have with you, that okay, I will not be able to draft a good pleading. So number one. Number two, as I mentioned you, that if you will do a good study of the entire case, Stokoe notice, order in appeal, order in original, and then you will also refer the various notification, circular and judgment which you are going to quote in to substantiate your point of view. Then the rest matter is only that you have to just doing some few lines above and low, and then the appeal will be ready. So it's important that how we are doing a research. The more you will do a research, the better will be automatically a pleading or the submissions before the authorities. Don't feel that you are not expert. You are expert, only that you have to remove that hesitation from yourself.
Sir, I'll add one question here. Mr. Balaji Biradarji asked, can you please share the circular and Supreme Court judgment in one of our client, the vendor registration got cancelled, backdated. I believe Suncraft is one.
The Suncraft is a judgment which are there from the Calcutta High Court, but I will share you a judgment of Ecom Gill, which is there from the Honorable Supreme Court as well. Though the judgment is not in the favor of the SSC, but that judgment also clarifies that okay, how you have to deal with these kind of cases. So it's very important that the procedure the department has to follow when they are saying that okay, you have to reverse the credit, is something get detailed in those kind of a judgment. So Hina Medicus, Suncraft, Ecom Gill, like there are the many judgments which can help you out to prepare a good reply whenever you have this kind of a issue in hand.
Thank you, sir. Friends, we are already running out of time, and there are many queries which we cannot answer due to the paucity of time. Sir, we'll take just one last question. There's a question by one of our participants that what is the time limit for section 7512? So basically, it is regarding that self-assessment section, which says that in case you have already declared your tax liability, self-assessed tax, in those cases, there is no need to go for section 73, 74, and direct recovery can be done under section 79. So is there any time limit for that particular section to be invoked, or it can be recovered after any time?
No, because that that amount which is not paid, and which I think it pertains to GSTR 1 versus 3B, that you have declared in 1 but not paid the tax in 3B. So the recovery proceedings have to be started again because it is a admitted tax liability. So to my mind, there is no time limit, there is no procedure, and the recovery proceedings can be started immediately.
Thank you, sir. So, friends, with this, we conclude today's session. I thank the esteemed panel, and I believe we have learned a lot regarding the draftings, regarding the extended period of limitation, regarding Section 128A, regarding vendors registration cancellation. So, we'll meet in the next discussion. Till the time, I've been notified that Team Taxo has a very good quiz prepared for you. We'll be flashing on the screen some multiple choice questions that I'll request आप उसमें बढ़ चढ़ के participate कीजिए. You reply to that quiz. There is a quiz already flashed on your screen, guys. You can select the answer. It's a basic quiz, but uh, it's a surprise. There's a surprise gift also to whosoever wins the quiz. So I'll request आप सब इसका please join कीजिए. आप इसका answer दीजिए. So we'll wait. The team will wait for you to answer. Meanwhile, we'll conclude. Thank you so much.
Thank you all for joining in. And with this, we conclude today's session. And I hope you find it very useful and informative. Thank you, everybody. Have a lovely week ahead. Namaskar.